Welcome to the first episode of a new show here on OWWR, Old Westbury Web Radio, called OWWR Spotlight, focused on the student athletes of Old Westbury. Being a student athlete comes with a lot of work and pressures that only other student athletes can really relate to. And with this show, we will be able to listen in on their insights in and out of games. I'm Muhamed Doucoure alongside Joshua Wilson, and today we are here with Kristen Gallagher and Jasmine Roldan, two student athletes here on the Panthers soccer team.
Right now, we have Jasmine Roldan. She's a senior here at Old Westbury and plays the midfielder and defender position for her team. I just want to start off by asking you, what started your passion for soccer and what made you become a Panther?
So I started playing soccer when I was 5 years old for the Hicksville American Soccer Club, which I now coach for. I was between many different sports. I was between dance and soccer for a long time, but what made me choose soccer was how good I felt playing it. The adrenaline of going into a tackle as a defender was unmatched. And then I decided very late in May that I wanted to be a student athlete here at SUNY Old Westbury when one of the coaches came to recruit me at a high school senior game. So I'm very happy that I became a Panther here, and I'm now number 17, going on year 3.
So just asking, do you have a favorite player, and who do you try to model your game after?
You see, I'm not a big soccer watcher because I actually have terrible eyesight, and I can't really see the ball when I'm looking at the screen. However, the only team I will watch is the U.S. women's soccer team. And I love Naomi Girma. She's a center back for the women's soccer team. And I love how aggressive she is, but she's also so composed, and she's been a captain for a few games now.
And just looking at what you have to do outside of games, what measures do you take to stay in shape before games?
So I go to the athletic trainer's office basically every day before practicing games just for preventative treatment beforehand. Last year, I did break my ankle in 2 different places playing soccer. So now one thing that's really important to me is strength training, isolation exercises, and making sure I get on my A game so that I could be at all the games this year and prevent any other breaks. So preventative treatment is very important, and also having a good diet while staying on campus as a resident is difficult but manageable.
So would you say those measures were like all positive, or did you see any drawbacks from those strength training?
So as I'm strength training, I'm actually more vulnerable to break or tear something on my right side because that's where I fractured my ankle. So it's a lot of working, and that's my dominant foot. So it's a lot of working on my right side more so right now. So I am noticing some weaknesses on the right side, but nothing that can't be fixed.
Mm-hmm. And just moving more towards the team side of things, the women's soccer team has a new coach for the first time in a decade. What were your thoughts on that coaching change?
It was very abrupt. And at times it was frustrating, but I also think it's a blessing in disguise because here with the new coach comes new coaching philosophies, comes new values, some of which align more with SUNY Old Westbury's values. So I do appreciate that aspect. It actually is a head coach of someone who we competed against, Five Towns Women's Soccer, so shout out to them. They gave us a really good fight last year. But I'm excited for the change. I think it'll be good for the program.
And yesterday afternoon, you guys had a game, and the Panthers took a loss to Farmingdale State 5-0. What did you see in that game that stood out to you?
That first half was amazing. I've never seen my girls play so hard. Farmingdale at times can come into these games thinking that they have an easy win. But when we ended that first 45-minute half at 0-0, that was a win for us. So while we may have lost 5-0, there were a lot of personal wins that we could have gotten out of that. And I do think that our team will look back at that film and see the pride on the field.
And just like, what exactly do you think in the second half that you guys were able to do in the first half that you couldn't do in the second?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to maintain momentum. The halftime, while it's necessary, had we just kept playing and didn't have that halftime, I think it did mess up our momentum a bit. I also think that kindly communicating to your teammates is a large part of your success because soccer in any sport is not just an athletic game or who's the most athletic team. It's a mental game as well. So I do feel that at points we might have gotten into our head or into our own teammates' heads, which can be disappointing. But like I said, it's definitely something that we can learn from and we'll look back to learn from.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. All right, so this is OWWR, Old Westbury Web Radio. Stay tuned. After the break, we will return.
This is OWWR Spotlight, Panthers on the Prowl. We're here with Jasmine Roldan. I just wanted to ask, what is it like being injured?
So being injured while playing on a soccer team is very difficult, especially as the captain, because there's only so much you can do from the sideline, and most of that is just providing like positive things to say on the sideline, but it's really difficult to not be able to cope with the injury through one of your favorite ways to cope, sports. So a lot of that has to be living through your teammates a bit. So being injured, it's also really difficult to come back from that. So coming back from that, like I said, it's a lot of strength training, isolation exercises, and going at your body's pace, listening to your body.
Yeah, and just like what are the mental aspects of those things? Like I know some people can sort of go into a depressive state while injured. What was it like for you?
I would definitely say I was aligned with that state, a depressive state. It became very difficult to go to practices that I wasn't able to participate in, knowing that it was such a freak accident the way it happened. And I'm never really someone to get injured, so this was my first big injury that I've ever had to deal with. And I did kind of see the morale of the team go down. And it's very difficult to be able to say the things from the sideline, but not be able to do them with your team on the field. So at that case, I think it's important to discover and really look into different coping mechanisms, such as actually talking about how you feel about this, since this is not really a conversation that is had within the athletics field. So just being open and honest with yourself and your teammates and asking for the help when you need it. So I asked my girls, I was like, I cannot be at 100% for you right now. I can do 80. I need you to pick up that other 20%. And they did do that.
And I think your honesty as a player is sort of the reason why you're a captain. So I just wanted to know, how else did you earn your role as captain?
I became captain in the spring season of my freshman year, and I think part of that was because I call it a healthy anxiety. I came onto the team not expecting to have a starting lineup role. I didn't expect to play the position that I've always played, and I don't. I listened. I didn't judge my teammates. I had the positive mindset. Like I said, it's not just a race for who's the most athletic. It's also a mental thing. So I'm not trying to brag, but I was able to bring both sides of that. And I think that's whoever the next captain is, they'll need to have both sides of that as well. So being able to be positive while also performing well on the field is important.
And just looking at your schedule, you guys have a game on Saturday versus Maritime College. How does the coach or your team plan to make adjustments?
My team's looking to win. That's our senior day. That's my senior day. We have 6 different seniors who are graduating this year. So we're not just playing for ourselves that game. We're playing for our seniors. We're playing for the school. It's a homecoming game. We want to bring the energy to that game because in the past, historically, we have beat them, which does not mean we will this year. So I think going into the mindset with it's not a guaranteed win will help us actually draw out a win.
Yeah, and you guys currently have a record of 4-4. Where do you see the Panthers' record being before the playoffs?
I think that we have a chance of making it to playoffs this year. I think that we have some skill that we haven't had in a long time. We have some height on the team this year, which typically we're a very short team. We have a new coach. We have Coach Geraldine Marinan. She's our assistant coach now, and she's stuck with us the last few seasons. And as long as we maintain this positivity with each other and just keep working on our personal best, we can create a team best of making it to playoffs for the first time since 2019.
Yeah, and you guys went on a 4-game winning streak in September, but you guys are currently on a 3-game losing streak. How do you guys stay motivated through that?
I think we have to remind ourselves of what we are capable of. The fact that we have been able to win 4 games does mean something to us. Last year, we did not win CCNY. This year, we did. Last year, we did not hold Farmingdale 0-0 in the first half. This year, we did. We had a lot of season-ending injuries last year. Unfortunately, I was one of them, along with 5 other girls. So having a full team this year with a bit bigger bench than we're used to should help us stay back on track. I think it's more important to focus on the wins and not so equally the losses, although we can learn from both. That goes with staying positive, which is just the mantra for this year.
Yeah, and diving deeper into that 4-game winning streak, what was that like?
We were on a high, for sure. We were on a high. We were finally figuring out how we want our formation to look like, meshing with each other, learning how one another plays. Since our preseason was a little shorter this year, there's a lot of kinks that have to be worked out. Even the first game that we played, John Jay, last year, we didn't play as good as we did this year. We did great this year against them. They brought the intensity for those games, and we are just showing people that Old Westbury is on the map and that we are looking to come back.
Yeah, and during that win streak, what did you notice about your team when you guys succeeded? Like, were you guys more aggressive? Were you guys more dialed more into the defense?
We definitely were more aggressive, and I think that goes with not depending so much on the defense. Actually, I think it depends more on our offense. Our offense wanted it. They wanted those goals, and they got them. At times, it could be very hard to focus in the offensive third of the field, but they did pick up their heads. After each shot was missed, they had one that went in. So, like I said, I think it's important to focus on what we are capable of rather than what we're not or weren't.
Okay, and do you ever find it hard balancing being an athlete and a student?
100%. I also work just across the hall from OWWR as a director of programming for the Campus Activities Board. So balancing a few different jobs on campus and off campus as a soccer coach, and then your schoolwork, your social life, it is a lot. But as I always tell girls when I'm trying to recruit, it's 100% worth it. When you join a team here, you come to this school with automatic friends. You have an automatic in, a social in here, and you also get to maintain your mental well-being by playing a sport that you love. Otherwise, you would not be competing here at the collegiate level. So I think that being an athlete here is worth the struggles and the lows sometimes.
Yeah, and just how do you reassure yourself during those hard times?
I also think of what I'm capable of. It's very difficult to come back from an injury and just be slightly hesitant on the field, especially a defender. You don't have time to be hesitant. You don't have time to second guess your abilities. So I choose not to. I choose to just go in for it because we have no other choice if we want to get that win. You have to go hard for every tackle you get, every 50-50 ball. You want to come out of that side with the ball. So it's a mind game. Every game is, and you just have to make sure that you're thinking, you're envisioning yourself getting that goal, winning that tackle, so you can make it happen rather than focusing on how am I going to do this and freaking out mentally.
Yeah, and the women's soccer team, as you said, last time they made the playoffs was 2019. What would making the playoffs mean to you?
It means the world, especially as this is like going on to my third-ish year of being captain and being a senior on this team. I've seen a lot of highs from this team and I've seen some lows. And being able to make playoffs while having a coach change mid-season would be groundbreaking. It's not something that we've ever experienced here on SUNY Old Westbury, of getting to playoffs with a new coach and a new formation and new players. Lots of transfers are being incorporated to our team. So I think it would really be a nice comeback, especially as a women's sports team here at Old Westbury. A lot of these teams don't make it to playoffs other than softball, and that's so great for them. But we want to be able to relate to that. We want to be able to experience that as well.
Yeah, and just looking at your roster, you guys have a couple freshmen on your team. How do you uplift them through obstacles?
Our freshmen bring such great energy. They are such energetic beings. Like, my suite mates are some freshmen, are one of the freshmen, and every room she walks into, her name's Cameron Volpe, lights up the room. And that's what we need on our team. And I'm so happy that we were able to attract such people, because there are times, like I said, when I have 80%, that 20% comes from our freshmen, from them doing their jokes around the team. Their favorite thing is a 6-7 joke, which I still don't understand, and I might never, but I really appreciate the energy and the humor that they're able to bring to the field, just so we all remember that we're here for a reason, because we love this sport. We don't have to be here. We've taken this privilege, and we are here.
And just looking at you when you were younger as a freshman, did you have those same type of role models?
I did. I did. Our captain at the time, her name was Mia, and she was very energetic, and she immediately took me onto her wing, and she still checks in on us. Also, our assistant coaches at the time, Nicole and Coach Ashley, like, they were alumni here. So having that alumni perspective was also very helpful, because they've also seen the highs and lows, and they can relate to that experience. And they were both defenders, so getting defense-specific advice was also very helpful. So their energy was contagious.
Yeah, and I know you talked previously about being at your regular position coming in. What was your regular position?
So during high school, for varsity, I played outside mid, which I have not touched in years now. And then for my travel team, I was a center back and a center defensive midfielder at times. So I really just stuck with the center back right now, because Old Westbury women's soccer doesn't really have a lot of set defenders. So I've learned to adjust, because in collegiate soccer, if you say, no, I don't want to play that position, then you will play the bench. You cannot say, no, I don't want to play that. You have to just go with the flow.
What was the biggest change for you going from a freshman into a senior now?
I still have to stick with the injury. That was something that I never saw coming. It actually happened at our alumni game. It wasn't even an actual conference or non-conference match. So that was a tough adjustment to bounce back from that, which I'm still doing. It's actually going to be in 3 days, a year ago since I broke my ankle. So coming back from that will definitely be the biggest change, but I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah, and I know you're a center back, as you said. So how do you get a throw out of the game when you're not the one scoring the goals?
That ball came from somewhere. If the ball is up at the forwards, that means that it went from the defense to the midfield to the forwards. There's very few times where that ball will get up there after starting in the offensive third. It's likely that ball came off of a punt, it came off of a free kick, it came off of a goal kick, it came somewhere from the back sometimes. So seeing that, and also just seeing the people who score, Stephanie Donnelly got a goal the other day, and that was so exciting because she didn't get one last year. So seeing her, I lived through her in that moment, and that was very exciting for her. Also, our freshman Jordan McGill. So that was very exciting to see them get the moment that they were hoping for coming into this season.
Yeah, and just seeing as you're also a defender, how do you try to help your goalie just making the offensive player their job hard to score?
Our favorite thing is to annoy the offensive players of the opposite team just by running in their way a bit. We shield our goalie. We're constantly communicating with our goalie. Kristen Gallagher, our goalie, is a great communicator. So we are back and forth. We don't stop chatting during the game. We lift each other up. The other day, I accidentally scored an own goal, and she was the only and first person to be like, it's okay, don't worry about it, and I will do the same thing to her every time a goal goes in. So when we return that type of respect and that type of sportsmanship with one another, that's how we create that good relationship.
And we have another soccer player, another key member of our Panther team, Kristen Gallagher, who just entered their studio. Kristen Gallagher, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I am a sophomore goalkeeper. This is my second year, obviously, and I just really enjoyed my time here so far, and I hope to continue the next 2 years.
All right, Muhamed, would you like to continue your conversation with Jasmine?
Yeah, just seeing as you're a defender, do you feel like the other teams have gotten better, just like you guys, or do you think they stayed sort of stagnant?
In an attempt not to throw shade, I will say that some teams were not all we thought they would be coming in this season. And other teams really did step up their game. When you look at the stats of each team, you cannot judge how you think that team will do this season. Those stats are just a number. Just like our stats last year, that did not reflect our abilities. That just reflected the circumstances that we were given, the hand we were dealt. So it's really hard to judge whether or not these teams will come out better than last year, worse, or the same, stay stagnant.
Okay, this is OWWR, Old Westbury Web Radio. You can follow us at OWWRNY on X, Snapchat, Instagram, and we will be back. We're always back.
This is OWWR Spotlight, Panthers on the Prowl. We have Kristen Gallagher here, and she is the Old Westbury Panthers sophomore goalkeeper. Last year, in 19 games, you had 3 shutouts. This season, you've already tied that number 8 games into the season. What would you say the reason for that is?
I would say that last year we were all very new to each other. We weren't comfortable with each other, so there was little mistakes that could have easily been prevented from me, from people in the back line. Like Jasmine said previously, she had an own goal this year. She had one last year. I mean, it is what it is. I'll never hold that against her, but it was just those things that led to goals that shouldn't really happen ever, but it does, and it is what it is. But that's definitely why I did not receive as many shutouts as I definitely could have, and that's being reflected this year.
All right. What is the moment you felt comfortable being a Panther?
The moment I felt comfortable was probably after our first game as my freshman year, when Jasmine came to me and she told me, "Oh, I think you should be the Panther of the Week, like you did so good." And that really made me feel comfortable. And knowing that there was no one else in my position, that it just helped me, like, okay, I really have to lock in. I have to do what I'm supposed to do because there's no one else.
All right. What would you say the biggest change was when you went from a freshman to a sophomore on the team?
The biggest change was probably that we had no coach coming in, and later he would eventually join us, but that was just really a surprise. I felt I built a good relationship with our previous coach, So not having her there to lead us through preseason or even the first few games, while our assistant coach did step up and did a great job leading us, it just definitely threw off the team a little bit.
Right. So we spoke with Jasmine about that coaching change. What was that process like? Like that, you're going through such a big change where you had somebody guiding y'all who you trusted, who you were listening to, and then it's a whole different, shift.
It's definitely difficult because I don't feel that we were told what to do necessarily because she couldn't tell us, if that makes sense. Like, we had the new coach coming in, she knew that, so she couldn't coach us because that wasn't going to be her job anymore. So being the assistant coach, it definitely limited her, and being the interim step-up coach, I don't think she controlled us as best as she could have or wanted to, waiting for that new coach to come in. So it was definitely just a lot of, I feel like there was more to be said about how our team was performing that just couldn't have been said.
All right, well, now you have some freshmen on your team. How do you guide them, or how do you uplift them, or how do you plan to uplift them?
I try and work them through each drill we do and the games as best as I can. If I notice they're doing something that they probably shouldn't be, or during the game, if I can help them in any way. Like Jasmine said, I'm always the first to uplift people. I really don't enjoy negativity on the field, so I just try and be a positive outlook for them.
All right, so you seem like you have like that team, like that leadership role on the team. So, has there been any challenges like trying to like boost the team morale? Like if the team is losing, you see somebody that's out of it, like how do you get them back into it? Is there have you had some problems with that, or has it been pretty like smooth with that?
We do have some problems. I know after we get scored on, no one's ever happy when you get scored on, but especially our defensive line. So just telling them, like, okay, like, stay in it, like, just keep your heads up is all I really can do. I know I could focus on the next play and reflect on what I could have done better, and hopefully they do the same. Sometimes it's a little blamative, but it's okay.
So, like, if you had the ability to, like, watch film back and, like, kind of replay, hey, you had a turnover right here, like, you would point that out?
I would. I always like to watch film because I'm very critical of myself, so I know what I can and can do better. And then watching it, I'm like, yeah, I could have definitely done that better.
That's really good. That's really good accountability. The Panthers took on St. Joseph Eagles on the 27th on their field. How does the team prepare for road games? Like, is it any tougher going up against an opposing crowd? Is there any, like, trash talk that goes on?
There's definitely a lot of trash talk, especially with St. Joe's Long Island. One of our last year players, she transferred there, so it was definitely tense going into that game. We definitely was looking out for her. I know she started, which we weren't really surprised. They definitely played a lot of mind games. We warmed up on one side of the field. They took that to start with, so they were definitely trying to get in our heads, and we held them a long time. It was just breakdowns in defense and throughout the field that led to their goals, and they earned their goals. It was a difficult game. They have a very beautiful field, very strong support system there, so it was definitely tough to go to their field. And even Farmingdale last year, going to play them is definitely different than playing at home.
All right, with the new coach, what type of adjustments does he make that's different from the previous coach? Is there anything like that really stands out that you think like, oh, okay, yeah, I noticed that? Like,
he's definitely more vocal during the games. We wouldn't get a lot of instruction during the game last year, and I feel in the beginning of the season she kind of held back what she wanted to say, probably more times than not. And he's definitely very vocal, and he's very uplifting to us. He's not trying to take us down and yell at us and scream, but he's definitely instructive in a positive way.
That's great. Muhamed, you have any questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you guys went on a 4-game winning streak, and we asked Jasmine, what did she notice about the team during that time? So I also wanted to ask you, what did you think during that 4-game winning streak?
I think the team was very together. This year has been the most together I've seen the team in my past 2 years. So just knowing that we came into a strong season and we won those 4 games that last year we might have tied or let up a silly goal was just very positive and gave us a good morale to go into the tougher games coming up in the season.
Yeah, and also just what started your love for soccer and what made you become a Panther?
I've been playing soccer since I was 5 years old, and it's just become like routine to me. I know during my high school season, I definitely did not want to continue playing soccer in college, but when I was talking to the old head coach, she was very welcoming and she made me feel comfortable. So when I did come here, I was like, wow, this is a good environment for me to be in, and I think I could perform to the best of my ability. So I just really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it still was fun, still competitive. So really, I just thought everyone should be here, especially guaranteed playing time. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, and Jasmine, she also talked about being in sort of a depressive state at times when she was battling injuries. Can you relate to that? Just being sad at times, not knowing what to do, and how do you reassure yourself after those?
There have been times that I've felt physical pain and emotional, but I just think that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So even in some negative situations, there can always be something that could have been worse, or I know it won't affect me too much and it can always be better.
Yeah, just going into soccer, everybody just wants to score the goals, Why did you choose the goalie position?
Honestly, I chose it because I didn't have to run as much. I don't enjoy running. And everyone else would cry and complain when they had to go in goal. And I wasn't half bad, so I was like, okay, I'll stick with it.
Yeah, and I asked about your 4-game winning streak, so I also have to ask about the 3-game losing streak. What did you notice about your team during those times?
They're tougher opponents, really, and we knew that going in that they're not the same as our non-conference games. Our conference is a difficult conference to play in. I know it obviously affects everyone, but we knew going in that we were probably not winning them, but we performed very well. I know against Mount St. Mary's, they didn't score at all in the second half. Farmingdale, we kept them 0-0 in the first half, and St. Joe's, we held them for at least 25 minutes. That's, as Jasmine said, the little wins that we could take away from those tougher games that, oh, wow, we lost by 6. 6 is a crazy number, but last year we were losing by 10 and 6 constantly, so it's just those little takeaways that can boost us up.
Yeah, and just during your high school days, were you used to making the playoffs?
My team, yes, but I was never really a starter or a player in my high school team. So, yes, they made the playoffs, but I had no effect in that.
So, did you have to make any kind of adjustment coming into Old Westbury not making the playoffs last year?
Not really. I think we were lost first round, so it wasn't. Oh no, we weren't in playoffs, and I knew what we were coming into. I wasn't coming into a top 3 team in the conference, and I was aware of the lack of numbers at the end of the season and everyone doing the best they can with injuries, so I wasn't really shocked that we didn't make playoffs. It wasn't, heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, but now you guys see yourself as 4-4. I feel like this is the best position you guys have been in quite a while. So what would making the playoffs mean to you?
I think it would be great. I feel that as we go on, the team has gotten better and better, and the overall mentality of the team has gotten better. So if we did make playoffs, that would be great. I think everyone wants that. Everyone would love that.
All right, thank you, Kristen Gallagher. This is OWWR, Old Westbury Web Radio. You can follow us at OWWR NY on X, Snapchat, and Instagram.
This is OWWR Spotlight, Panthers on the Prowl. We're here with Kristen Gallagher. I just wanted to ask Kristen, how do you guys as a team build more team bonding? What type of events do you guys try to do together?
Over the summer, we've had Jasmine run a lot of practices because our coaches can't necessarily run them themselves. So over the summer, we get to know each other a bit. I suggested to her we do, like, Twisted Tuesdays, which at Ralph's Italian Ices, they have buy one, get one free twisters. So that was a very good way for us to get to know each other. Throughout the year, we have locker room decorating. We go shopping for our locker room. Senior night is a big event coming up. So we have to get their posters ready, print out the pictures, get all gifts for them. And then throughout, Jasmine, who is like the mayor of SUNY Old Westbury, she always encourages us to go to certain events on campus. This week we're participating in the cake decorating event. I know 2 years ago we won, actually, but hopefully we can win again.
Yeah, and just, I know goalies, they usually have like a good side. Would you say you prefer the left side of the goal or the right side of the goal?
I don't think I have a preference, really. I just like the ball not to go in it.
Yeah, and how do you suggest your defenders help you on that side of the game?
Usually, I couldn't tell them what to do. I don't know their positions, but when I do notice the little things, like if the ball is switching from field to side, I'm switch over, or they hold the line for me so that the other team could get caught off sides, and then I have more time to collect the ball. I'll call them off it, and they shield me. It's a very good working relationship, I feel.
Yeah, and you talked previously about how much you liked film and you like to review your own film. Do you ever do any film review on other players? Do you model your game after anybody?
I try and watch what happens. I don't want to say, oh, this person did this and this person did that, but I just hope they can watch it themselves and do that reflection. But if it's something major, I'll definitely be like, so what'd you do there? That wasn't very great.
Yeah, and just like, are there any pros you look at, or you don't really watch film that much on the professional level?
I don't watch professional soccer. I think it's kind of boring.
Not even the World Cup?
Sometimes. I remember, like, my junior year of high school, that's all we did in my math class. We were just watching the World Cup. But no, I will never sit down and take the time to watch it myself.
And just, you were a freshman on your team, and you talked about being able to uplift them. Are there any things you can say that you've done better than, I guess, the role models you had last year?
There wasn't really much for me to look up to. There wasn't, like, a senior goalie. I just heard of stories of previous goalies that would scream at the team at halftime and yell and complain, like, how poorly they performed. And I knew that would never be me. So I just focused on, okay, like, it is what it is. We knew we weren't going to win or whatever. So as long as we kept the score down, or if something silly happens, it's okay. There's still 40 minutes left. We can try and create something else offensively instead of just focusing on what happened defensively, because it really, at the end of the day, has to go through 11 players on the field to get in the back of the net.
Yeah, so would you say that your philosophy is being more so nice and helpful towards your teammates?
I would say yes. There's been multiple times that it really, some things I know when they're my fault and I could have done so much better, but there are times that it's a PK in the box, and is it beneficial to scream and yell, how dare you, why'd you push that person in the box, that's ridiculous? Or is it more beneficial to say, it's okay, it is what it is, and just move on?
Yeah, and just being the goalie, do you ever find it hard being that nice person that people can go to?
I do, because at the end of the day, it does affect me and my record. So these last two games with having a PK going, I'm like, okay, that's 2 goals against that I could have prevented or I couldn't have had. And as silly as it sounds, PKs are honestly what affect me the most, because there's really nothing I can do about it but dive to my right or left and hopefully save the ball. Like, it's my least favorite thing about the position, but sometimes when I do save them, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and just looking at outside of games, are there anything you do to stay in shape before games?
I know last year I played 2 different sports, and that kept me in shape for the upcoming soccer season. And again, the summer trainings that we do, and we have a summer packet, and there's many different women's leagues that I participated in to stay in shape. I know this year I don't plan on doing every sport under the sun, so I would probably go to outside trainings, or hopefully our coach will have more intense spring sessions, but definitely showing up and participating in what we do have as a team, I feel is the most beneficial.
Yeah, and you're a student athlete. I can't really relate to this, but are there like any issues you have being a student athlete, and like how hard can that be?
It is difficult to miss classes, especially as you get further into your education. I know missing ethics of engagement isn't the end of the world, but now I'm missing Calc 3 and like more intense classes that it's definitely easier to fall behind if you're not there.
Yeah, and just missing those classes, do you ever, like in your mind, think about, I mean, I don't want to say just maybe quitting, or do you ever have those type of thoughts, or not really?
No, I wouldn't say, oh, if I quit soccer, this would make it so much easier, because soccer is my outlet. I do look forward to going to practice, and I look forward to the escape from, oh my God, I have a midterm next week, or, oh, I have this paper to write. It eases my mind, so I would never quit necessarily.
Yeah, and just being a goalie, what do those practices look like for you?
Sometimes they could be beneficial to me, and sometimes they're really not. It depends on what drill we're doing. There's some where I really just stand there and there's not much I could do because it's for the offensive players, or there's some where it's directly for me and it's like straight shooting and it's just working on what I need to work on.
Yeah, and you guys were able to score 8 goals against Yeshiva University. I just wanted to know your thoughts on that game, and how did you feel your team went as a team?
I honestly felt we could have done a lot better. We usually go into Yeshiva knowing that it's going to be an easier game and it's not going to be as tough as Sarah Lawrence or Farmingdale, but going into that game we were very eased at mine, so it honestly took us a long time to score, and I just felt we could have performed better offensively, and I was honestly getting nervous because they were getting very close to the goal and we were not scoring as much.
Yeah, and Jasmine, she talked about those little wins, like during Farmingdale. She said that first half, you guys were able to shut them out, but during that second half, you guys sort of let it go. What did you see in the second half that you wish your team did in the first? Well, what did you see in the first that you wanted to see your team do in the second?
I feel like it's just the loss of concentration. Once one goes in and we lose focus, then it just snowballs, and then the next goes in, and then the next. So it's just, it is a very long game, but just staying concentrated for the whole 90 minutes. We're definitely a one-half team. We either do really well in the second or really well in the first.
You guys have a game coming up against Maritime College. I know your coach might make some adjustments, but what would you say your team needs to do a lot better for that upcoming game on Saturday?
I just feel conserving energy. We don't have a large bench like a lot of other schools, so playing smart instead of running 40 yards for no reason or carrying the ball further than normal. Playing smart and also working with each other. A lot of the times we just kick the ball up as far as we can. We have to start passing to each other, and sometimes that's difficult with some formations, but I hope we'll be able to pull out a good win.
All right, well, thank you, Kristen Gallagher. Thank you. We want to send thanks to Jasmine, and we want to send thanks to the whole sports department, Max, and everybody for letting us interview the players. We would like to thank Joseph Manfredi and the entire OWWR staff. You can visit us online at OWWR.org. You can follow us on X, Snapchat, or Instagram at OWWRNY. And you're here with Panther Spotlight at OWWR. We'll catch you next time.